Kurt Roth, and you are here with us at the 505 Sports Venture Foundation TV program. I want to thank first Steve Davis, president of ProView, who's up the stairs in the big chair, looking over beautiful downtown Albuquerque and Central Avenue, and my producer Adrian from Norwalk, California. He makes this thing possible. He tells me what to say and where to look and how much time we have left, and he presents this whole thing in a great package. For those people who follow UNM and Lobo Athletics, and I assume that's why you're watching us here, we've got a really special show. We're going to get to it in a little bit with a guest who's familiar to all of you who follow Lobo football. But first, I just want to give out our kind of weekly ask. If you follow Lobo Athletics, you know, for one, men's basketball is leading the conference. Big win this weekend up in Logan, Utah against Utah State. And we'll probably have a real good crowd tonight, 13,000 for a late Wednesday night game against Colorado State. Big game. So if you watch this today, get your ass to the game. And then football, which we're going to talk about. Exciting times here at UNM. A whole different approach from Bronco Mendenhall as Jason Eck is bringing to Lobo football. We're seeing a lot of signings, a lot of football players who have excelled at their previous location, not guys who are kind of making a crossover and looking for playing time. Guys we've signed are players. Anyway, we're going to get right to Lobo football. Don't forget, it's 505sports.org. Every little contribution hurts. $1, a dime, 100,000. Help us out. 505sports.org. We'll be back right after this.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep. All your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Mayer here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need great help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Like me, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I give you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Again, I'm Kurt Roth, 505sports.org, 505 SVF to those who see us around. All right, we're going to get to our special guest. You guys know him, beat writer, Albuquerque Journal, Lobo Football, Sean Ryder. But first, I just want to do a little shout out. Like I'm old school, and I'm old school, and I grew up with the newspaper. I can't stress to everyone how important having the local news is. The Journal is the only way you can learn about local news, local politics, and of course, an incredible sports section. I still get the hard copy of the paper. I look forward to it when the sun comes up to be reading the Journal. The sports section is just awesome. Great writers, Sean. Today we have Jeff Grammer on the front page. For high school sports, there's no writer better in the country than James Yotis. You've got to help out the Journal. If you only get it online, it's an incredible deal. We keep the politicians, the technicians, and the bureaucrats honest through local news, and the sports is just off the charts. So subscribe to the Albuquerque Journal. Let's all get together and get this thing rolling. All right, Lobo football.
Thanks for the kind words and introduction, Kurt.
Well, anyway, good to see you. Really busy time off season with the transfer portals is what causes this, I guess.
Exactly, yeah. And as we're talking today, too, it's National Signing Day as well, too. So, I mean, there's commits that we knew about, but other ones kind of filter in as well, too. But, yeah, I mean, it is truly a kind of a 12-month operation at this point, and we're seeing all that.
Right. Well, the signing day is a little different because the emphasis was always on these high school kids. And the transfer portal works differently. So it's a combination. And it's also really exciting. I mean, for better or worse, the change in coaches. We lost a bunch of players we probably wouldn't have lost. Now, if Broncos stayed, it would have been we were close. At 5:05, we were doing really well trying to keep our quarterback, Mr. Dampier. But you had him. You had our running back. I mean, Luke Weissong, who was one of the top receivers in the country. These kids all had the chance to step up maybe to P4, I guess. They all did. And let's face it, they get paid a significant amount of money. So that created, Bronco leaves, they were going to leave it. I think all three of those guys would. I don't think Luke would have been here. That's an editorial comment. But I won't ask you about that. But a lot of holes to fill.
Yeah, tons.
So it makes, as a fan, it's exciting. You're nervous. You want to say, oh, geez, are we going to have a team? Spring practice is around the corner. But as far as I'm concerned, I think they've done well.
I think they've done well, too. I think, I mean, if you're familiar with the program, you know that it was a very good offense last season in a lot of respects. It wasn't a perfect offense, but, I mean, definitely a good deal of talent. And we were kind of talking about it before the show. Last year they kind of built that offense on some kind of P4 down transfers and all that. This year they're taking guys that were really good at the FCS level. I mean, all conference performers and all that, and kind of slotting these into those roles. And the big names there, kind of Scott Trey Humphrey, the Montana State running back who ran for like $140 on New Mexico State last fall. Damon Bankston, a Weber State running back that was also first team All Big Sky. And some, good offensive linemen as well, too. Caden Robnett from Idaho and Jack Lane, the quarterback from Idaho, too.
Yeah, we've been lucky enough, myself and my chief of staff, Nancy Marquez, have met and talked to every one of the new players, whether they have a 505 contract or just a moving stipend. We're getting them all involved. A great group. But it is really interesting from a football perspective how Coach Eck, and if you haven't met Coach Eck and you get a chance to go to a public event, you got to go. This guy is high energy. He has stepped into this role just putting all effort in. He's all over the place. He's super enthusiastic. He might have a beverage with you if you meet him. We are going to have an event very shortly. Watch the social media, maybe a few glasses of whiskey and a cigar or two with Coach Eck. But high energy, and he's stepping up a level. He's coming up. So the philosophy is really different. What I like about it is there is the unknown because guys are coming up a level in theory. But there was an unknown when you took guys who weren't playing at the P4 level. They hadn't played. The guys we're getting have played and been highly successful. They're used to winning games. So it's exciting for me. Now, the next subject I want to talk about is all part of this change, NIL, transfer portal, big shift in rosters. Lobos have theoretically not officially, a general manager for football?
Yeah, reportedly have hired Bo Davidson out of Memphis. He was the GM at Memphis for 1 year. The kind of big feather in his cap from that time was that they landed, per 24/7 Sports, the best transfer class in the American Athletic Conference, and the Tigers went 11-2. To me, they were pretty clearly a top 3 G5 program last year, and he previously was the director of player personnel at I think Texas Tech, UConn, and Georgia Tech, excuse me. And yeah, I mean, a lot of coaching experience there. Guy that you heard a lot of people talk positively of in the past, and kind of feels like a major coup if it is official for UNM in that sense.
Well, UNM hasn't made it official, but Bo Davidson.
Bo Davidson, yes.
He's got like Go Lobos. He's like got a Z sign on his Twitter or his X feed. So yeah, major kind of change in outlook though in recruiting and developing a roster, general manager.
Yeah, and it kind of felt like Eck didn't quite commit to it. This was something he was asked about at his introductory press conference. He didn't quite commit to it then, but it did kind of feel like an inevitability. It just was some of the comments that he had made in the past about, like, I know that the FCS to FBS jump is a considerable jump. I like a lot of the FCS guys I'm bringing with me in terms of my staff and players and all that. But, like, you have to do things to really kind of make sure that you're going to be adequate and going to be very competitive at this level. And the GM kind of seemed like the right play. And frankly, and you know it better than anybody, things have changed so much that, I don't know if there's a window that for every program in the country to have like a GM, but like it's more than likely coming soon.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come back with Sean in a minute. Stay with us. So, yeah.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Got shots? Got shots? Got shots?
During Got Shots, participating providers open their doors for any child who presents for immunizations, regardless of whether they are a patient or whether they have insurance.
Hi, my name is Ruben, and I'm with the New Mexico Educational Assistance Foundation. We are proud sponsors of high school and college sports. Either college or trade, we can help you find the funding you need. Go to nmfafsa.org. That's nmfafsa.org.
I'm a Blaze King customer, and I have been for the last 10 years. Blaze King stoves are very efficient, they're easy to maintain, and they use a lot less wood than you would typically use with a fireplace.
Blaze King, that's a fire.
The heat is on when it's a Blaze King wood stove, controlling heat up to 40 hours on a single load of wood with a built-in thermostat. See for yourself at either Blaze King showroom, Albuquerque and Santa Fe. Blaze King, and now that's a fire.
Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Kurt Roth. It's the 505 SVF program. We're here with Lobo beat writer, football beat writer Sean Reeder. And we were just talking about the potential hire or forthcoming hire or rumored hire of Bo Davidson as the first time ever Lobo football general manager. So part of that, just like what we found in NIL, running an NIL program, is there's really not a blueprint for this. This is the kind of job you kind of make up on the go. I mean, you have a description. I mean, I guess it's recruiting and general financial stuff, but it can go many different ways.
Yeah, and I think the things that you just touched on are things that I would expect to be key there too. But I I think it is at a point where, frankly, I mean, like, you can't have, a head coach expected to be the middleman between players and collectives and all the different deals there, and have, they're going to play a role in terms of like player retention and all that too. But really, I mean, it is at a point where it's so important that you got to retain your guys, that you need to have a guy on staff where that is their main job, and kind of helping out that process too. And I think it's probably going to be different for every single school, right? I don't know for sure. How Bo approached everything at Memphis. I've read a little bit on it, but I imagine it's going to be a little bit different here in New Mexico too.
No doubt about it. And it's funny you say you've read a little bit about it. When I heard about it, I was all over, like what, and what you get is a bio.
Yeah.
Like no one was reporting on what the general manager was doing. Like, if you watch professional sports, if you watch the NFL, general manager sometimes gets fired before the coach because they're really responsible for building the roster. People follow that. College football, general manager, like, what is he, like, organizing the towels? What the heck's he doing? And I think it's a job that you make, you create. Another thing that's weird that we've learned, and we've had some experience, and it varies, each student athlete is different, you got to deal with agents. There are agents everywhere. And there are also agents that represent pools of players. So that's something that, the head coach can do, but then he's not coaching. So, yet another facet of being a general manager. Who's out there, you're a scout, you're a financial guy. So very interesting. We all wish the best for Bo.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now we've got the next step in this craziness, or this newness. I actually think it's fun. Is there's a transfer portal in April.
Yes.
So technically, Lobo fans, every one of these guys who showed up today, last week, in January, who's enrolled in school, can leave in April.
Yeah, I believe the spring window opens up April 16th to the 25th. I know there's been some kind of, on the part of like the AFCA and like just some coaches kind of talking about it, some talk about doing away with the spring window, and even kind of replacing the fall window with just 1 week in January. That would actually work for New Mexico because they kind of have a late school start date. Not that late, but it would not work for some other schools to say that. But yeah, no, I mean, the portal window there is going to be interesting too because it's the first time we're going to see pretty dramatic roster cuts in the sense that there is a scholarship limit now, and the roster limit now, and there's going to be some good players kind of out in the portal that you really weren't used to seeing before.
Well, you wonder, and we had talked about guys coming up a level. Well, now there may be a pool of guys who are ready to go sideways or take a little, from the P4, come to a UNM. Yet another roster balancing task for the general manager.
Exactly.
Like, how are we going to do this? Who's in the portal? And, I learned last year with basketball how important it was, and Lobo fans know, JT Toppin. You're on pins and needles.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know. Kids can be very communicative. And it also works both ways. A coach can say, hey, you're not going to play. You're the fifth guy at this position. You've got to have a tough road over the summer. Or the kid can say, I don't know. And we found that kids are coached that way by an agent. Don't tell anybody until the last minute. So that is a very interesting kind of dramatic. I know fans sometimes feel uneasy, like we can't get attached. We can't really root for a kid. But I think it's just part of the newness of it all. And I think UNM's positioned to do really well.
Yeah, and to kind of touch on the kind of the newness for a fan perspective. I mean, you do have this swing where, everybody leaves, and then they bring in everybody, and then they're all kind of back on the line again.
Well, let's face it, from a journalistic position, all of a sudden April's a hotbed of information for college football. I mean, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I remember as an old baseball fan, like the season ended in the 60s and 70s. Oh, all right, well, spring training starts in April or March 15th or whatever. You didn't think about it. Well, then with free agency, it's still in the news. So with college football, You'll be writing articles in April.
Exactly.
About rosters.
Yeah, and I think UNM's spring ball for them ends like right at the start of the portal too. So that's just kind of synced up right there.
Well, everybody learned where they are or thought they are. I assume there'll be exit meetings or review meetings and whatnot. I know the Mendenhall crew had a whole grading process. I have a feeling the EC organization will do it more by gut. So, all right, part 2. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with Sean, and then we're going to look at next year for Lobo football. Very interesting start to the season. Stay with us.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
I might not be in the cage as much anymore. Just like riding a bicycle, I can pick up the fight from where I left off. I'm not some slick-haired outsider posing with borrowed gloves. I grew up here. New Mexico is in my blood. I'm a New Mexican fighting for other New Mexicans. I'm Adam Oki. I'll be your champion in the courtroom.
From the Sandia foothills to the banks of the Rio Grande, generations of families remain. For 5 generations, Gallus Chevrolet has handed down values written in stone, leading the way under sun-filled skies, past the vintage glow of Route 66, built by generations past, built for generations to come. This is New Mexico. This is Gallus.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Part 3. We're here with Sean Reeder, Albuquerque Journal beat writer. All right, we've gone through some staff changes. We've discussed the portal and roster. Way too early, but let's look ahead to the season because August 31st, is that the opener?
August 30th or August 31st,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, okay. The Lobos have the most difficult schedule, I think, in UNM history. It could be, arguably. I mean, all right, we start out in Ann Arbor. Opening game. It's end of the summer coming to college football ready. They'll be in the top 25, Michigan.
Yeah, expecting Michigan in 2 years removed from a national title. But yeah, with Mikey Keene, who UNM fans are well familiar with, coming in there, and of course Bryce Underwood. I mean, the recruit to end all recruits at quarterback there. Expected to be a pretty good team.
So Lobos start out brand new. Jason Eck leads them into the big house. If they have a small crowd, it'll be around 100, 102,000.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a small crowd. One of the best party venues in the country is the Michigan Tailgate. And again, Lobo fans, as a side note, we need to develop football. I know college kids who pick their school, if it was a toss-up, on the football experience. On the weekend, the Friday night party, the Saturday tailgate. It's a big recruiting tool for the general population. So get out there and buy your season tickets. It's one of the best deals in the United States, Lobo season tickets. All right, so we think we got Ann Arbor and Michigan. We come home for the home opener against Idaho State.
Yeah, who Eck was, obviously, pretty relatively intense rivals with that Idaho.
I think he beat him every.
He beat him every single year, though. Yeah,
right. He was very proud of that. And then after we get the home win, we go out to L.A. and we're back in Adrian's backyard, against UCLA.
Yeah, and going to the Rose Bowl there, pretty sure that's where UCLA is still playing home games and all that too. And that's kind of an interesting team as well. I thought UCLA certainly didn't start great last year, but they rounded into a really competitive football team. That defense was pretty impressive down the stretch to me.
They were competitive. They weren't a pushover at all. Now, Big Ten school, the whole thing's just crazy. What league, who's on the road trip. I mean, for basketball fans, top 10 Michigan State just did a Southern Cal swing.
Yeah.
Lost both
USC
games.
and
Lost
UCLA.
both games. Like Michigan State again, and then Mick Cronin's complaining about looking at the Statue of Liberty 2 or 3 times. So it's a whole new world. So, all right, the Lobos we start with Michigan, Idaho State, try to get the home win after upsetting Michigan, of course, and then out to UCLA. But also the Mountain West schedule has flipped. We skipped Boise, we got Boise. We skipped UNLV, we got UNLV. We didn't play Nevada this year either.
Did not play
and
Nevada.
We played Nevada this year. And
San Jose State.
San Jose State. Then we've got New Mexico State.
Colorado State.
Right.
I believe
right.
San Diego State is back in the schedule
and
too.
of course, everyone's going to circle the home
Yes.
game against Utah State.
Mm-hmm.
What do you expect that to be like? What kind of greeting does Bronco get? Like a full Steve Alford like bleh?
Yeah, I can't imagine it's going to be an entirely positive one, and I am. I mean, truly, I'm fascinated to see just how the crowd takes that and how Utah State kind of handles that as well too. I don't think in the time that I've covered the program, you've seen a whole lot of legitimately. You've seen fans get up and cheer and all that, but I don't think you've seen a whole lot of, legitimate jeering and kind of booing and all that.
Oh, no.
And I think that's certainly in play, and I'm very curious to see that.
Well, what we hope, we don't know the actual dates of those
Not
games,
yet
right?
for the Mountain West
the
games,
conference
no.
games we don't know. What we all hope for is that we're competitive and there's actually fannies in the seats. I don't want a December, late November game and there's 3,000 of you knuckleheads out there. We want to have full crowds at every game. It's important. It's important to support the kids. It's important to support this football program. It's important for the school, and it's important for Albuquerque and the state of New Mexico. Let's get this thing going. And it's also 505sports.org. Check it out. All right, so we got a couple minutes left. So many unknowns. When you, as the guy who covers it, and there's a press conference today.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll get a little more info on the GM, maybe.
Yeah, we'll be asking about it.
It will be asked. Will it be answered is the question. It may not be official yet. What do you see we talked about the roster, but what do you think? I mean, there's some decent ball players coming back. So, and I'm really excited. One is one of our buddies, and I think we're going to get him on the show, who hasn't been able to play much the last 2 years, is Tavian Combs.
Mm-hmm.
He could be a difference maker in that defense.
Yeah, and it's, they lost a ton of pieces in the secondary from last year, and they're adding a bunch of guys in, but at the same time, Combs is a guy that, when he's been healthy, has played at a very high level. And the question with him still is just, can he stay healthy?
Can he play? Right.
And can he do that? Because he missed 2
years.
Spring ball last year, basically the entire season. He was in for, I think, 5 snaps against Wyoming, and that was basically it. And that was all last year.
All right, so it's way too early. You've got 2 ridiculous road games, body bag games.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the flipped schedule in the Mountain West. What can you expect? How many wins can you put together?
It's so hard, without actually seeing like at least one practice at this point, right?
Course,
and we had, and I think I said the exact same thing on your show last year too. It's the kind of the element of a lot of things are just going to come down to how good this offensive line ends up being, and what can they put out there? Because last year's offensive line was kind of a miracle in some sense. It was a bunch of different transfers that had never played together. From different levels and all that, and it ended up working out really good. They're top-tier offensive line.
We were 1 or 2 plays away from a bowl game, which might have turned out to be a disaster because we probably wouldn't have had a coach, a quarterback, and half our offense. Anyway, Sean, thanks. Good luck at the presser today. Find out a lot of stuff. Hey, buy the Journal. Get the news. The guy writes almost every day about football in the offseason, or at least during the week a couple of times. Buy the paper. Help Albuquerque. Help the state. Let's go, New Mexico. 505sports.org. We'll see you in a week or so. Get to the game tonight in the pit. Let's fill that place up. Thanks for watching.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
I'm David C. Chavis, personal injury attorney. For over 4 decades, our law firm has remained steadfast in our commitment to serving the remarkable people of New Mexico that have been injured through no fault of their own. I'm a New Mexican fighting for New Mexicans.